What makes a good teacher for you? Just read this great article in The Economist. I don't read The Economist all the time, don't you, thinking I'm that super highbrow, but it does tend to have better articles in it than most of the national papers, and it's certainly less biased than most of the papers in Britain. Now, my family is pretty much stacked with teachers. My dad's a teacher, my mum was a nursery manager, my sister's a teacher, my wife's a teacher, my sister married a teacher. I spend the bulk of my time now teaching rather than playing. Although we do like to tell my brother-in-law Steve that, you know, those that can do, those that can't teach, and those that can't teach PE. He's a PE teacher. So in this article they argued that great teachers can be made, they're not just born. So I was thinking about my top 5 teachers in my life so far. Number 1 would be my dad. Number 2 would be Ray Wilkes, who was my first saxophone teacher. Number 3 would be John Bowen, who was my music teacher in school. Number 4, kind of tied, would probably be Terry Roberts, who got me started through the wind band in primary school, and John Askew, who taught me in sixth form, lower 6. And I've got to say, with John, I learnt more in a year with him than I did with any other teacher, probably apart from number 5, Branford Marsalis. Most of those didn't have lesson plans, they didn't have learning objectives. They taught by inspiring me, they taught by showing me the way, by giving me an example, and sometimes kicking me up the backside, letting me know what was expected of me. And in a way, that's the way I've modelled my teaching. I don't really, I have a plan of what I'm going to do, but I've not had any real formal teacher qualification as such. I've studied a lot, I've studied with some great teachers. I still, as you've seen in earlier vlog episodes, go for saxophone lessons so that I can address my weak points and also learn different ways of approaching certain subjects, maybe ways I wouldn't normally do them. Sometimes I reject that, sometimes I take that on board, and it forms part of my teaching. There's a great line in The West Wing where I was watching it last night. I think it's season 3, could be 4, 3 I think, where Toby and President Bartlett are playing chess. In this particular scene, President Bartlett says, "Education is the silver bullet," and that is repeated earlier on by Sam Seaborn with Leo's daughter. Education is the silver bullet, and they're talking in this article. I recommend you get a hold of it. And they're talking about how important education is, and it really does move people out of poverty. So do you think teachers are born or made, or is it both? One big thing in here, which I think every teacher I know, my wife particularly, again, will talk about, is there's so little training for teachers once they've been in the profession. I think, for me, teachers need to inspire students on to do better than they think they can, to pass on knowledge, but I think it's more about passing on that knowledge and then getting students to find it out. I know for me, the things I've learned best are the things I've discovered myself. That's why I'm vlogging. Not the sole reason I'm vlogging for, but actually, this is teaching me new skills, and it's teaching me how to make these videos, and hopefully you will see a progression that they get better as I go along. But I watch other people's vlogs in order to learn, in order to be inspired to do that. A few years ago I sat down at my whiteboard, and I said in another vlog about how important I find whiteboards, and I just filled the whiteboard asking the question, why do I go to concerts? Why do I watch certain videos on the internet? Why do I go to certain people's masterclasses? Why do I listen to certain people in music? Why do I watch certain sports? And the bottom thing when I crushed that all together was that it inspired me. It made me want to reach inside of myself to do something else myself. And so that's why with Cambridge Saxophone, my main tagline is about being inspirational, because what I want to do is I want my students to reach inside themselves, to learn and discover more and be inspired, and then pass that inspiration on. So I guess I'm finishing today's section of the vlog by asking, what do you think makes a great teacher?